Hi, welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, Thecia Ellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever changing world. Today is June 9, 2023, and it is episode 33 Homesteading while Volunteering at Kids Camp. All right, the farm happenings. The ducklings that I had are growing fast, and it's kind of interesting how quickly. I mean, chicks can grow pretty fast, but ducklings seem to grow at a much faster rate and get not just size and stuff, but just the changes in them is kind of interesting. And so this is from the batch that I hatched, I guess, about a month ago. And oh, and you're going to hear thunder occasionally too. That's part of the reason I'm doing this now is because it's raining. I'm supposed to be doing chores, but there's thunderstorm going on outside, so you might hear some thunder occasionally. But I hatched these eggs out about a month ago, I believe, and I had sold 10 of them, and I've got 5 of them here. I'm fine with that. I needed to expand my flock a little bit anyway. And I also have some more eggs that are going to be hatching any day now too. I just stopped turning them, and you can see the eggs wiggling around occasionally. So haven't seen any pipping yet. It's kind of interesting with chicken eggs. It goes pretty fast, but duck eggs, the shells are tough. They're hard. It takes them a while to get out. And it's a lot of work for those poor little guys. So um, it I usually notice pipping on a particular date, and it might be 2 full days before something will actually come out and come into the world. Guys, I've got piglets everywhere. Oh my gosh. I've got electric net fencing, but they're still small enough, well, mainly small enough that they can slip right underneath the fence. But the bottom wire is not hot. And the only thing is they'll get out. And you look out the window and you see 2 or 3 piglets running by or scratching on a tree or something, and they've made a pretty good setup for themselves underneath a couple of the boats and some of the other stuff that we've got around here. But every once in a while, my dogs will come around and they go running back into their pen, and they're in such a hurry that they actually take the fence down with them when they go. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. You just never know. You just never know. And if you go to like my TikTok or and Instagram, every once in a while you'll see some reels or little things about showing where my piglets have gotten out and done something. I did sell one piglet. I believe it was last Friday. Kenzie and I, yeah, it was last Friday. Kenzie and I loaded up a piglet, a little male, and took him. We met a guy halfway. He was coming from Arkansas, and we met him halfway, and sold him a little piglet. And that was kind of well. It was kind of fun. It was the rest of the day was fun. Let me put it that way. The morning we got the piglet caught. Well, I think Tom helped me catch the piglet, and that was always a fiasco. But the first thing this poor little freaked out piglet did was poop in the car. Well, I mean, I had him in a cage, so I basically I cleaned out the poop before we got into the car. But man, SUVs or anything like that where an animal poops, it's a long trip. And so we got the piglet sold, and then we went and found a car wash, and we hosed out the cage, and that helped. But there was still a lingering smell for a day or so. So I'm glad to get that done. But it was fun because Kinsey and I, after that, drove over to Pryor, and we took in parts of it because it's a pretty big deal, honestly, over there at the Okie Homesteading Expo. There are two YouTuber guys that have put this together. They're in my general area up here in Northeast Oklahoma. One of them is Keeping It Dutch, and the other one is Hidden Heights Farm, I believe is the name of his. And they did their first expo this last year, and it was such a hit. And now they're doing it again. They did it again this year. They have classes, and they actually have some where you can take classes in advance. Like if some of you have heard of Hand Hewn Farms, they're in our general area now. They actually live in the Broken Arrow area. And he did some classes, but it was like $400 for a class, and I don't have $400 to give him, even though I think what he's doing is really cool. But they had different classes and stuff, but I was there mainly to make some connections, and I did make some connections, and it was very cool. I got to talk for quite a while to the really neat couple at Grumpy Acres Farm. That was neat. I was glad to get to do that. They they had some woodwork, really pretty good woodworking stuff, and she does like gourmet foods and then freeze dries them, and I got to learn a lot from them, and they're just a really nice couple, and I really enjoyed myself, and I made a few connections, and that was cool too. So that's pretty much what I was there for anyway, and I was glad to get to do it. Oh, this last week is, you know what? I keep telling you every once in a while, like last week we actually got 0.3 inches of rain, and we needed it. But it's been kind of weird. Like last Saturday, it thundered and lightning all day long, but it was just to our east, and we didn't get a drop of rain. And we're still kind of in a drought here. It's very dry. In fact, I think part of the reason I'm having trouble with piglets getting out is they're so dry that I need to wet the ground where the grounding rod is, so there'll be a little bit of connection. And I think I did it. I think I finally did it the other day, and it's probably helping a little bit. But yeah, yeah, the ground is dry, and so we did finally get 3/10 of an inch. That was weird too, because I was right in the middle of kids camp, and we saw the lightning and saw the clouds and stuff. And I only live about 2 miles from the church, and we didn't get a drop of rain at the church. And then I come home and check the rain gauge, and there's 3/10 of an inch of rain in our rain gauge, and you could tell by looking at the property it had a pretty decent rain. So, yeah, we got a little bit of rain. It sounds like we're getting a little bit of rain now. They're little funny little pop up thunderstorms, so it might like thunder and lightning for 20 minutes, and then maybe not even that long, and then they go away, and then so they're hit and miss. So we'll have to see. I'm not sure how much rain we're going to get out of this, but hey, it's raining, so I'm happy with that. I've been having some trouble with the backs of my heels. Oh man, for months now, and I finally went to the doctor the other day, and it has something to do with where the Achilles tendon attaches to the heel, the bottom of the heel. It's called an Achilles insertion injury, and my left foot is so swollen in the back of the heel, and it's hard as a rock that I can't even wear shoes right now. And I should have known there was a something issue, because I've always, for years and years, I wore size 8.5 shoes, and then I started having trouble with the swelling in the backs of my heels, and I had even gone up to a size 10 shoes, but I'm still having trouble with with getting my foot in a shoe, and getting painful calluses on the ends of my toes and stuff where my foot is being shoved forward. So finally, I went to the doctor for it, and she goes, well, I know what it is, but I can't do anything for you. I'm going to send you to a podiatrist. And so yesterday, even though it was part of kids camp, it was the last day of kids camp. Hey, if a doctor can get me in, especially a specialist, you go. And I did. I drove all the way to Owasso, and the lady was really nice, but she says, you have your insurance, we can't use your insurance, we won't let us. So that was a wasted trip to Owasso, and I'm going to have to get on the line and find out what podiatrist or what doctor can help me that's in my healthcare uh, setup. So yeah, I've been limping around for months, and it's kind of a bummer, because I like to exercise. I like to go into the gym and stuff, and we do a lot of aerobic stuff, but I can't not been able to bounce around and do too much. And yeah, and I limp around at night like an old woman, and I ain't that old. Okay, my three things, and I did okay today. So far, I'm doing pretty good. I did some yoga at home because I haven't been able to go to the gym. But been busy and stuff. And even though this is not a normal yoga day, I thought I've got to do something. I have to do something. So I did some yoga this morning, and Kenzie went with me to do some Friday errands. We got a little bit of lunch, and then now I'm doing my podcast. So those are my three things for the day: yoga, errands, and podcast. All right, what I'm reading. I'm still in the 4 volume set with Edgar Casey collection. The one I'm doing is Edgar Casey on Dreams by Harmon H. Bro, PhD. This was in 1968 as part of the Association for Research and Enlightenment. And we're on chapter 8, and it's called How to Start Interpreting Dreams. And on page 87, oh, sorry, I guess it would help. I actually got to page 87. I never claimed to be real smart. All right, page 87. It says, in interpreting dreams, as Casey described in the process, is not looking up a symbol in a handy dream book and applying it to a dream. One interprets a dreamer, not a dream. And I thought that was interesting. So, and I've been guilty of looking up interpretations in a book. In fact, whenever I think it was a junior in high school, my term paper was to do a book on dreams and sleep, and I checked out a book about interpreting dreams and was doing that. But he's saying it's more about interpreting the person who's doing the dream, and so I thought that was interesting. And on page 88, and this I thought was kind of cool too. All right. Bible study also stills the mind into a oneness with itself, where the dream, my highlighter is dark, meanings are transparent. Further, comparing dream incidents like specific Bible passages can awaken in a dreamer a sense of the big symbol, like the urim of the human family, which repeats itself in dreams and myths and art and legend of all ages. One of the Casey's most common coaching devices was to assign a dreamer to a particular Bible passage to study with this dream. And when you're talking about that Urim, Urim, if you think about it in the Old Testament, that's what they use. They use the Urim and the Purim or something like that. I don't know how you pronounce them, but to help them to divine different things and get some answers to it. So, and what I had written on it is that, have you ever considered the need for the Urim in the Old Testament? Because they didn't, the population at large didn't use it. These were the Levites, so these are the ones that were not the population at large, who were not considered capable of communicating with God, but the Levite priests who were considered closest to God with their duties. And I understand between the Old and New Testament some the differences and stuff, but I'm also thinking that was interesting that they did use a Urim to help them to get answers to things, was how they came to God for answers, and obviously we don't use that anymore. But I still thought it was kind of interesting. On page 89, Edgar Casey once dreamed that a watermelon was eating a pig. When he secured a reading on the dream, he was told that the ridiculous sight just received backwards from real life was a reflection of the ridiculous way he was currently behaving. A plot that seemed meaningless made excellent satirical sense once its purpose was established. In general, this is to be expected of a dream material. All speech and thought, as Casey described it, carries subtle nuances of association. A danger will faintly resemble someone else. A predicament will be like one remembered or one feared. A flag will carry a whole chain of half recognized thoughts about one's country. In the waking life, these little associations are kept to the rear so that the communication occurs without distractions in dreams. In dreams, the association come to the center of the stage. Casey told a broker that he had dreamed of an old college friend because the friend was bright and studied exactly the qualities the dreamer now had and needed in his work, studying a new phase of the market. In waking life, facts have association in dreams. Associated dictates the facts. Given this as a way of functioning, dreams is not so confusing after all. Okay, that was very poorly read, and I apologize for that. It's kind of one of those things. I keep trying to get rid of the glare on my glasses and doing everything I can, and my light is poor, and I'm having trouble seeing what I'm reading. But what he was saying is to think about, like, with the watermelon eating the pig thing, because it was backward and doing different things, and things remind you of stuff. You see somebody that looks kind of familiar, and then all of a sudden you dream about that person that you thought would look familiar. So I think it'd be interesting to start trying to analyze our own dreams in this manner, just as an association and not as an attempt at true interpretation of dreams, like in a book like we were talking about. On page 91, it says, yet Casey recognized that the interpretation of dreams is no simple matter, precisely because people are not simple. As he talked about dreams in hundreds of readings, he pointed to four kinds of dream imagery: nonsense, literal, symbolic, and visionary. So I guess it's up to you to determine which categories your specific dreams have fallen into. But I thought that I thought it was interesting how to categorize them. And the last one is on page 98. It says, Casey encourages dreamers to rely on the still small voice within. Once they had learned to distinguish this voice from the clamor of consciousness or anxiety or rationalization, it was a voice they could use, whether for guidance in dream interpretation or guidance in driving a car or a bargain in an argument or an argument, excuse me. So that still small voice, if you think about, was that kind of a hunch or something, just something kind of a little bird told me or whatever, not a little bird, what I mean? It's just, but have you learned to recognize your still small voice? A lot of times we have a still small voice that's telling us to do something or not to do something, and we ignore it. And many times when we ignore it, it kind of turns out to be a bad deal. So I encourage you to learn to listen to your still small voice, and you may be surprised at what you learn about yourself when you begin to recognize and exercise your still small voice. And another thing that I'm reading is The Happiness Advantage, in both reading and listening to it in the Level Up Mastermind group. And I will cover that more in a future um, podcast. I'm just not ready to do anything about that right yet. My quote of the day is from Hugh Walpole. It isn't life that matters, it's the courage you bring to it. And there, okay, so let's talk about Hugh Walpole first. Okay, although he was born in New Zealand, he did end up living and dying in England. So Walpole was considered an English novelist. He lived from 1884 to 1941. He was the son of a clergyman, intended for a career in church, but he decided to be a writer instead. But during the Russian Revolution, he was the head of the Anglo-Russian Propaganda Bureau and spent time with Hitler in the 20s. And he was quoted as saying, "I like and despised him." He also wrote 36 novels, and there was a lot more about him. Somerset Maugham had something against him. I didn't quite understand what all that was about, so I didn't put it in there. But let's recap from Hugh Walpole. It isn't life that matters; it's the courage you bring to it. And I wanted to say something about courage because we're going to do something with the scripture of the day and why I want to talk about it. I feel like we've all known as Christians, those of us who are Christians, there's a lot of evil out in the world, and we've known it. We've seen things kind of getting bad. We see some really strange stuff happening in the last few years. And of course, a lot of the people that I talk to, they go think it's the end of the world and Jesus is coming soon and stuff. And he may be. I struggle with that a little bit because he's not here, and we need to be living and we need to be doing our thing here on earth and doing what we need to do. And I also feel that we as Christians, in an effort to try to love people who are sinning into to leaving the life of sin and coming to Jesus, and I understand that, but at the same time I struggle with the pure evil of what's going on in the world. And I really feel like in our effort to try to be loving and kind and trying to be helpful and stuff, that we are not putting our foot down. We're not drawing the line on what we're willing to tolerate as Christians. And so my scripture of the day is Genesis 9:13-16, and the reason it is that it is Pride Month and the rainbow. Okay, and I will talk about that here more in a little bit. But the scripture is I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between you and all the living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all the living creatures of every kind on the earth. So I I say this because Tim Pool made it. I listen to him sometimes, and he made a statement. He goes, "Okay, so like everybody's got not everybody, the Pride people have a rainbow flag," and he says, "I'm not religious, but I also know that you Christians probably ought to reclaim the rainbow as your symbol of Christianity, as your symbol for the God that's taking care of you, that's no longer going to flood the earth." And and I think that was an interesting concept, but I also thought it was an interesting correlation, but I don't know that that's going to work, because if you think about it, anytime you think of rainbow, you think of LGBTQ, not necessarily the rainbow that God sent to show us that we're not going to be wiped out by flooding anymore. And is that a bad thing? Maybe. You know, I think part of it is because we've had so much shoved down our throat lately of this LGBTQ stuff. I'm from a kind of an, I don't know. I have a different view than maybe some of you. We know, as Christians, know that what they're having sex with same sex marriages and stuff like that is a sin. It's in the Bible. It says so. It's just that simple. But I'm also from the thing of live and let live. If they're going to do their own thing, let them do their own thing. That's between them and God. They can answer God. But I believe they have crossed the line yards and yards and yards by trying to force us to accept it. And I feel like that many of us Christians are just saying, well, you know, Jesus is coming back, or well, we'll pray about it. And I'm not saying prayer isn't powerful. I really do believe prayer is powerful, but I also believe faith without works is dead. And we need to be standing up. And I just, so I'm going to, a lot of on the scripture stuff from here on out, I'm probably going to be kind of a little controversial and give you a little bit of my feelings on it. And I want to tell you that I understand that I've weighed this, and I understand that I might become persecuted along the way, but I don't care. This is what we were told, we were going to be persecuted as Christians, but we got to do something to be persecuted for. You know, just because you're a Christian, just because you say you're a Christian, doesn't necessarily mean that you have done anything to be persecuted for. You know, do you have enough evidence in your life to indicate that you are a Christian? So it's time to step it up, guys. We need to quit when some we need to quit create stepping back every time that line is crossed. I really feel like we're just letting a whole lot of evil just take over the world, and we're just saying, well, I'm praying about it, or if I pray, if I vote right, or whatever, that's just not good enough to me. You know, I just don't. I really struggle with that. So it's time. It's time. But it's going to take more than faith. It's going to take some courage. So that was what I thought. The rainbow thing was an interesting concept. I liked that Tim Pool had put it that way. But at the same time, if you think about it, if we say rainbow, we're thinking LGBTQ, and not the rainbow in the cloud that God sent to tell us that He was never going to make us be flooded again. Okay, my main subject. Oh, I tell you what, it's kids camp at our church is only 4 days. Thank God. That sounds terrible, but it is. I mean, because it's a cool situation. This the kids camp is, I think, it's from third through sixth grade, something like that, and it's overnight. So like Kenzie's brave, and she stayed up overnight. They have it's neat because you got the kids that are in those grades, and then you have kids like Kenzie who are a little bit older, and they can stay overnight if they want to, and they help. Those kids are, it's both boys and girls, and they help a lot. They help the teachers, they help the other volunteers, and they do a good job. I do not spend the night. I am in the kitchen. I have a personality. I love to come out, and I might talk to your kid a little bit. We might joke around a little bit, but I do not have the personality for a kid who ignores me when I say they need to do something. I don't have that. So many children don't even have the 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 knowledge to even say please and thank you. And I have to admit that just goes right through me. So I'll come out and I'll talk to the kids. We have a good time. And then I'm back in the kitchen and we feed these kids. The lady who actually runs the kitchen, I'm kind of like the sous chef. I show up after I do chores in the morning. I get up early in the morning and do my book work, and then I do chores, and then I get cleaned up and come to church and work in the morning and do whatever she needs me to do. She does all of the planning and the true cooking and all that other stuff. And these kids get 3 meals a day and 3 snacks. And after mid morning, mid afternoon, and then they have late night stuff that they have for the kids well into late 8 and 9, 10 o'clock at night, I guess. I'm home by then. So I get up, I go down and work. It kind of works out cool though, because about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this week they took them somewhere every time. 2 days they went to the nearby indoor pool and they swam. I've got there's a man in our church that lives about a mile from me, and he has such a cool place. He works so hard at it, and he has like 2 different zip lines, and he's got a beautiful creek that runs through his property with a covered bridge that he built. He's got a homemade merry-go-round that's kind of in the design of a maypole. So you wind it up, and then you let it go, and it runs. He's got several things that he does that are just really neat, and the kids can run wild there. And they even had a snow cone guy come out and help and serve them snow cones. I think one day they went to play putt putt. So I guess that was it. 2 days swimming, 1 day putt putt, and 1 day at Dairyland. So that's like a 2 or 3 hour window where I can come home, start a load of laundry, uh, actually get a little bit of something done around the house. Not a whole lot of computer work though. So obviously I do not get podcasts done, videos put out, or anything like that. So that's kind of been my schedule for the last 3 or 4 days, and we're tired because I go back and help with dinner and do things. And of course, that's when the husbands, when they come home from work, they come down. They have a meal, and then we can all go home. And then I do chores, and then I get ready to do stuff to get ready to go to bed. Okay, so I think it's kind of, except for the couple hours I have in the afternoon to do things, I kind of feel like maybe I understand a little bit more about people who are juggling homesteading along with the job. I mean, I can't imagine every day, 5 days a week, having get up in the morning and running out and feeding the animals, and then running off to work for several hours, and then coming home and feeding the animals again. I'm really grateful that I get to stay home. I work hard. Don't get me wrong. I work hard every day, but I'm really grateful that I actually get to stay home and I don't have a job at this time. So, and and during that time, actually things went pretty good. I could get the chores done and get things done. But today was my first day back, and it was a mess. I get out. Oh, and it was kind of cool too, because I got some, the um fruit rinds, watermelon and cantaloupe, all this stuff, because she feeds them fresh stuff all the time. Well, I got all the food scraps, and I got to take them to the pigs and stuff. And last night, I can't remember what was going on last night, but I left the mostly empty food bucket laying out there by the pig pen. Of course, I said the pigs can get in and out and stuff, and Candy was my livestock guardian dog was over there barking at the bucket this morning, and I went to go check to see what was going on. Well, Yoda, my little runt, was inside the bucket eating the tops of strawberries that were stuck to the bottom of the bucket. And so I got them fed and was taking care of that. But before I could ever actually get them fed, well, that's not true, because early in this week I was taking care of the birds, and I was down there by the because I was saying it was kind of like things went easy. They didn't. Daisy got out earlier, and I'm down way over around the other side of the barn taking care of birds, and here comes Daisy and my sow coming around the corner, and I had to get her had corralled up. Well, she was out again today. What she's been doing, and my barrel is a 55-gallon bucket, barrel of my water barrel, and she's been shoving it over where it kind of shoves over into the fence. Well, okay, first of all, whenever I went to go get Yoda out of the bucket, it was on its side, but I got Yoda out of the bucket and I noticed that Waddles with all the piglets, their barrel was out. It was dumped over outside of the fence and the fence was down, and that's why a lot of them were running around. So I got that water barrel set back up and taken care of, and before I could get all finished with that, I discovered that Daisy was out, and her water barrel wasn't over. It was just shoved into the fence where she could get out. And she did not want to go back in. I had to. Well, I thought I'd lost her at one time. She decided she was just going to roam around and do good, have a wonderful time. And I actually had to corral the dogs, get them in the house because they're a pain in the neck when Daisy's out. Well, and Daisy's a pain in the neck too. But she got out, found a cool space down there by the birds, and she laid down. I thought, okay, this is a good time to catch the dogs and take them inside. And then by the time I came back outside from getting the dogs corralled, I can't find Daisy. I'm wandering around the property looking for her, and I got a bucket of food and looking for her. I'm thinking, oh crap, Daisy's ran off somewhere. I don't know what to do with about it. And then I come back around and she was in the barn tearing stuff up. She was drinking all the dogs' water. She was eating the dogs' food, and now she's full, and I can't get her to follow me back to where she was. So I had to go get the garden hose and kind of hose her down and kind of encourage her to go back to the pen by following the water of all things. So I finally got her in there, and I actually overfilled the barrel. It's completely full, but hopefully she can't shove it over so easily. That was a long thing. And then I'm in here trying to do some research or getting things done to get ready for doing this podcast. And I keep hearing this noise. One of them was a squealing noise. And I thought, oh no, what is that? And my dogs were inside where it was cool, and they jumped up. And so all three of us, the dogs and I, ran outside, and we're trying to figure out what we're hearing that was squealing, because I thought, oh no, the piglets are out, or one of them's hurt or something like that. And we're looking and listening. We can't find out what's going on. And so we came back in, and what had happened, and I do not know how this cat does it. I don't know how she's doing it, honestly. She's finding a way to get bunnies in the house, and then she tortures them in the house, and then leaves guts all over the place and stuff. She usually does that when we're not here, so we don't know what's happening until we come home. Like the other day, I found a bunny head in my laundry basket. It was gross, but that's what she did. She in the middle, and I found her. She's sitting there trying to. She just plays with the bunny until it dies, and then she shreds it. Well, I had listened to that for long enough, and I thought, oh, I've got to catch this bunny and save it. So I picked up the cat, threw him out of the bedroom, because this is all happening right here in the bedroom and stuff. And I threw him out of the bedroom so I could go catch the bunny. Caught the bunny. Of course, he squealed terribly, and that got the cat wound up. But I got the bunny set outside. And he sat still for a long time, but he acted like he was okay. I think he was just thought he was hiding. I don't know. But now Sydney, the cat, is mad. He is meowing at me. He was up on his hind legs, and the front legs are on next to a tub that I was working next to, and he's meowing at me. And then I was trying to walk through the house, and he's like literally trying to trip me with his front paws. And I thought, oh, what a cat. Ugh. So that was kind of how that's kind of how things were going this morning whenever I was trying to get things back in order in my house. I got the bunny's fine. The cat's cooled down. He's not quite as mad at me now and stuff. But then Kenzie and I went to town, and we got stuff that the house restocked of food, getting laundry caught up now, and kind of get other household chores caught back up after that week. And so, whew, kids camp week is over, and I think we're going to go back to pretty much a normal schedule. I'm really grateful. All right, my story of the day. This is something that happened to me when I think we're in the process of closing down the laundromat, and we had a bunch of old washers in the our garage at home. I don't know why they were there. Tom, for some reason, decided he wanted to bring washers home, And I thought, oh heck no, I'm having these suckers hauled off. I am so tired of old appliances. I got them all over the place out here on the 40 acres, and he had them there in town. And I thought, nope, I'm having these things hauled off. And I raised, it's one of the garage doors where you roll them up and the panels, are sectioned. And I raised it up, and then I went to push it back down because I saw what I had needed, and I pushed it back down. Unfortunately, my fingers was between the two panels, and it was stuck in there tight. I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get the door up. It was hung. I couldn't do anything, and I'm sitting there going, just it was so painful. And I was lucky. I had a denim shirt on, and my phone was in my shirt pocket. And I'm trying to, with my left hand, call people. Can somebody come and help me get this garage door up? My hand is hung in the door, and finally one of my employees, she was just getting off work, and she came over and she lifted up the garage door for me so I can get my hand out. Man, I collapsed on the ground saying thank you, thank you, thank you. My fingers were flat. They were flat. I thought, oh no, they're broken. And we actually went in and took to the doctor, and they were not broken, but they were flat. I do have some trouble with that knuckle, one of the knuckles, and but to this day, but man, I do not put my fingers between those panels in a roll up door anymore. That's for certain. I learned my lesson. Okay, my question of the day as we start to wrap things up is, what are some of the tips and tricks you use to keep a household, homestead, family, and job all running at the same time? I do not believe that I could do on a regular basis what we did this last week. And my poor Kenzie, she was trying to sleep with these, with these teen girls, younger girls. I don't even, some of them were not even teens, and she's trying to sleep with them, and they're kids, and she was getting so aggravated. But she did a good job, and I was proud of her. But yeah, what are some of the things that you do to try to keep things a little bit simple? What do you do? How do you juggle a household, homestead, and family and a job? I tell you what, you guys have got my vote for being homesteader of the year. That's for sure. Okay. My income producing activity of the day is Podmatch. I've really enjoyed the Podmatch. In fact, I've got Podmatch is a place um, where if you have a podcast like this one, or maybe a lot of people that's on this particular thing, is where it matches up people who want to be interviewed and people who want to do interviewing. Now, I've signed up for both sides. I just still haven't gotten to decide where I want to start interviewing other people yet. Hopefully, I can. I don't know. Maybe I'll get something will happen somewhere down the road where I can start doing some interviews too. But right now it's just going to be me. But uh, I did a few weeks ago. I did one. What is she called? It was the Boom. I don't know. We had such a good time. I really enjoyed doing. What was the name of that one? Oh, the Boomer Woman's podcast, because I'm one of the younger of the Boomer generation. And because I think I was born in 62, and I think 62 was the last of the ones that were the boomers. But I really enjoyed talking to her. That podcast came out today, and I'm going to figure out how to put that links in the show notes down below so that you can see check out her podcast. We had a good time, and so my interview with her came out today, and I'll put that down below. Uh, Yesterday, I did an interview with Virginia Jones at the Vintage Cafe podcast. We had a wonderful time too. I really enjoyed it. I think she said that our interview is not going to come out until this fall, but she'll let me know, and then I'll let you know when that comes out too. But I'm having fun. I'm having fun talking to these ladies and men. I think I've done a couple of podcasts with men, not necessarily through podcasts, but I don't know. I'm having a good time doing the podcasts and stuff, and I'm enjoying it. So if you're a podcaster, I would encourage you to check out the Pod Match. Check out through my link below, and what they do is they match you up. You do what your podcast is about. Your bio, what you want to talk about. You set up the questions that you're willing to talk about and stuff, and and they have matches that you can check out, usually like 3 a day or something, and then you just kind of go back and they set you up with some more. But um, uh, there's some income to be made by doing these podcasts too. So not just from my affiliate link, but as you do these podcasts with other people, there's other ways of doing that stuff too. So check that out at podmatch.com. Let's see, on Facebook. I mean, I can be found at grandmashomestead.farm. My main YouTube channel is Grandma's Homestead. I've got a Farm Animal Life YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, but on Facebook also. I also post my videos and some of the reels occasionally. And I do my 3 things. Um, on Facebook, I do whatever my 3 things of the day is. Along with on Facebook, it's kind of funny because every once in a while I put what I'm cooking for dinner. And one time I didn't do that, and somebody goes, "Hey, what's for dinner?" So I always put on, because I like to experiment and I do check out different recipes and stuff. And so that's what I do on Facebook. And I believe in training the algorithms and all of this stuff. And whatever I put out, especially on Facebook, stuff that's funny, stuff that's encouraging. And so, yeah, I'm always spreading something funny. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I do want to encourage you to live until you die. There's so much cool stuff out there in the world. I love the books I read. I'm hoping that you're getting a little bit of encouragement and enjoyment out of them. As soon as I learn how to read in the dark, that might help too. But just learning a little bit of something every day. It doesn't have to be anything important, you know. So what if your head gets full of stuff that you don't need? It's fun to learn something new. But live, guys. Get off the couch, turn off the television, get off the recliner, and find something. God bless you guys. I'll see you next time.